In Chapter 3, we learn about transmission lines, or the ability to move signals from one point to another. Starting with the extremely simple wires that we use with a multimeter, anything that carries an electrical signal can be considered a transmission line. However, those simple wires we use have concerns when it comes to high frequencies or when we need to protect against electromagnetic interference. When learning about electromagnetics, whenever we hear the term transmission line, we're usually talking about something that supports a guided wave, or a wave contained within the line. The trick with transmission lines is that you need to care about the length of the line when the transmission line is a large percentage of the length of the wavelength that it will be carrying. Thus, if a transmission line is quite long, or if the wavelength of a signal in the hundreds of megahertz or into the gigahertz is quite short, then you run into problems and need to create balanced transmission lines that will reduce reflection, reaction, and electromagnetic interference. Reflection issues in particular are one of the major reasons we need matched impedance connectors for high-frequency signals. This need, and how to match impedances, is covered in great detail. Once we understand why we need transmission lines, Dr. Ellingson teaches us the two most common different types of transmission lines, coaxial line and microstrip lines. Their structure and how they affect the electric and magnetic fields that they're carrying is discussed, and waveguides, transmission lines ideal for higher frequency, are briefly mentioned. The remainder of the chapter becomes quite mathematically intense as we learn about the telegrapher's equations and start calculating wave equations, characteristic impedance, and wave propagation on a few of the different types of transmission lines. As with all engineering-related math, it is extremely important to be able to do the math, but it is also extremely important to be able to understand the math and what it represents. As you go through the math in this chapter, take a moment every once in a while to make sure you understand how the math you're crunching through fits in the big picture.